Hi, everybody. My name is Pat Needles. I am a vice president here at the Equidox Software Company, and I first wanted to thank each and every one of you for making yourself available today to join us for what proves to be a very exciting and new technology that Equidox has developed. And we're super excited to show you how that works and the value that is associated with that. And you can see on this first slide up top our mission statement, which is enabling PDF accessibility through intelligent automated solutions. And that's kind of a common theme here. You'll see that throughout today's presentation and discussion about the genesis of Equidox, where we started, where we've been, and where we're at today. So we're excited to talk to the folks, especially who have never heard of Equidox. This might be their first time at one of our webinars, but welcome to you. And we're looking forward to showing you what we have today. You can move forward, Dan. So what we're going to talk about today, as far as the agenda is concerned, is who is Equidox? Where did we come from? Where are we going? As I had mentioned before, some super exciting things that we're going to talk about. Why make PDFs accessible? I think most people on this call understand a lot of the reasons why you might want to do that and that sort of thing. And so we're also going to talk today about our AI-powered PDF accessibility tool and how that works and the value of that. And of course, we'll get into the most important thing here today, which is the actual demo of the AI solution. Go ahead, Dan. So who is Equidox and where did we come from? Equidox, the genesis behind it starts in about 2011 when we were asked by a Canadian federal government to build a software tool that would make PDFs accessible for people with disabilities. And when we started this process of building the tool, our first output was PDF to HTML. Soon after that, we grew to a PDF accessible output. And from there, we have built in a lot of different types of automation into the tool that we will definitely be talking about. We have built over the last 3 years, some detection tools into our software application that has made PDF remediation much simpler and more efficient. And any of you folks that have been that have done remediation that is on this call today understands that this is a very painful process. It can be time consuming. And we've taken a lot of that heavy lifting off of the table by building in tools into the software application that allows for fast and easy remediation. And then secondly, what we're going to be showing you today is our AI-powered software solution for high volume templated at scale recurring documents. Okay, Dan. So, we talk about the challenges of PDF remediation and how difficult that can be. It's very labor intensive. Folks need accessibility skills in order, to remediate documents properly. It can be very expensive if you are outsourcing these, types of activities to third parties. And all along there is the possibility of human error while remediating documents on challenging timelines. Go ahead, Dan. So the Equidox AI solution, as I had mentioned earlier, is a fully automated PDF solution that really takes the human element out of actual remediation. And so what we're going to show you today is, how we import documents into our system, how they run through our AI engine, and how they come out completely tagged and completely accessible. There is no need, as I had mentioned, for any human intervention for this tool, and we are really excited to show you how this works here today. So with that, I'll go ahead and I will turn it over to you, Dan, to do the demonstration of the tool.
Okay, great. Thanks, Pat. So before we get into the actual demonstration of Equidox AI, just going to set the table for a little bit more, just in case anyone is new to accessibility. I'm just going to talk through a little bit of the process and how it works, and also why it's important to do this. So just so everyone's aware, Equidox, in cooperation with the NFB, conducted a survey of over 250 blind and low vision assistive technology users. So that would primarily be people who are using screen reading technology in order to read digital content on their computer screen. And we have found that after surveying these 250 blind and low vision users, that at least 2/3 of PDFs that they interact with on a regular basis are not accessible. So they cannot interact with those documents if they were to use their assistive technology. And so Adobe, who owns the PDF format, estimates that there's over 3 trillion with a T, PDFs in circulation today. So that means there's about 2 trillion completely inaccessible documents out there that are floating around in circulation. So that is a staggering amount of documents. And many people who aren't blind or have low vision and don't use assistive technology, you're probably interacting with PDFs on a regular basis and you don't even really think about it. But those PDFs present a huge barrier to understanding information for people who rely on their assistive technology to interact with the content. So the main takeaway from this slide here, many people on this call have probably heard of the acronym WCAG, WCAG, which stands for the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Maybe you've heard of the Section 508 standards. We're not going to get into the alphabet soup and start breaking down the differences and the similarities between these different standards and guidelines. But the main takeaway from this is that these are the standards that are being used to measure the accessibility of websites and documents and digital content. And the number of lawsuits that we're seeing every single year is on a steady rise. So the lawsuits are coming in fast and furious around websites and documents and digital accessibility as we move to a further and further digital world. So organizations have to be aware that they are not exempt from making sure that their content is accessible, and you have a responsibility to making sure that you're providing digital content in a way that can be used by everyone. So with that said, as Pat kind of alluded to a few slides back, the challenge with PDF accessibility for many organizations is just the sheer volume of documents that they produce and distribute. So the number of pages can make it extremely difficult to manage on a consistent basis. Outsourcing this work is extremely expensive. You also lose the control of the deadlines, making sure that that outsourced company is getting those documents back to you in a efficient manner and meeting your deadlines. You can have concerns over the security and the privacy of these documents if you have anything that needs to remain confidential. And also, you're putting the faith in these outsourced firms that they are going to be delivering high quality work, which they may not be. And also, remediating these documents internally for these organizations has a lot of the same challenges, but mainly you have to dedicate very large numbers of staff to be able to manage the volume of documents, and it becomes a big a big killer of time for these organizations and the employees that are the ones that are having to do the actual remediation work. So what we have done is we have introduced Equidox AI, which can fully automate the accessibility portion of making these documents accessible using artificial intelligence, a combination of machine learning and computer vision. So we are essentially applying training to these artificially intelligent models to teach it what these documents look like, the different structures that are making them up, and then it can fully automate the process to ensuring that the documents are accessible and being delivered to the customer without any issues of using it with their screen reading technology. So Equidox AI, it all starts with human programming. So I just want to make it clear that Equidox AI is not auto tagging. There are many people will throw around the term auto tag, meaning that it's automatically creating tags of the PDF, and the tags are what are being used by screen readers and assistive technology to interact with the content. Equidox, although it is applying tags in an automated way, it is not auto tagging. Auto tagging requires basically hard coding to teach an auto tagger that this type of font should be a certain type of tag. It is very inaccurate. It's very unreliable. It will not produce compliant or usable documents. So what we do with Equidox is we start with human work being done up front. We train the AI models based on the structures of that specific PDF template, whatever that template may look like. It could be a bank statement, it could be a utility bill, it could be an explanation of benefits on an insurance form. So we have a combination of our data scientists who are doing the actual AI training. We have our developers, our software developers who are implementing this technology. And we, of course, have accessibility experts on staff who can assist in that training of the AI models because they know exactly how to tag a PDF document. So just to go through a little bit of the process. So the Equidox AI is implemented post processing. And what I mean by that is you do not have to completely uninstall and recreate a process for building your PDF documents. Many organizations already have a very well established process in place to create and deliver these documents to their customers. We are placing ourselves into that workflow seamlessly without having to completely rebuild that process from the ground up, which could be a very time consuming and costly endeavor to do. So the first step with Equidox AI is you would provide sample documents to us in order for us to analyze the documents. And then we would train the AI models based on how we analyze those documents. So we teach the AI models all of the different elements that are accounted for in your template. We apply that training, and then we would integrate the workflow. So we would figure out how do we want to deliver these documents to the customer. Is this something where they are downloading a PDF from one of your portals? Maybe it's their bank statement, for example. Or is this something where you would like to manage it internally, where perhaps you have a bulk import of documents every single month that need to be made accessible before they go and get posted online? Once that decision is made as to how we're going to integrate the workflow, the process would begin where Equidox would apply the tag structure to these documents. The documents are then exported from the system, and then they are delivered through whatever mechanism we've determined, whether it's directly to a specific customer of yours or if it's to some sort of data repository so that these documents can be uploaded to your intranet or website or wherever it needs to go. So just a quick rundown of how we analyze PDF documents. We don't need to get too technical with this, but um, basically, these colored dots that we're seeing on the screen here, these colored dots just represent the AI's analysis of different variations of documents. So they are grouped together in different areas by the AI based on different anchors that it's seeing. So, for example, these documents all contain pie charts. So that is what would group them together in a specific cluster. And it would trigger the AI to look for certain variables and certain elements on this PDF that are consistent with the training that we have provided. Here's another example where you can see that the number of the documents in this case are sorted into different segments based on the number of columns. So you have certain pages that might have two column layouts. Other pages might have three or four or a single layer or single column layout per page. So it's always based on the template and the training that we provide from that initial analysis of the documents that you've given to us so that we can teach the model exactly how to tag the various elements. One final thing to call out is just the ability to even tag tables. So if you think of like an easy example to think of would be like your credit card bill. It's a very static document, could be the same document template can be provided to hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of customers for a credit card company. And that document is being produced on a monthly basis. Certain customers of that credit card company might have a single charge for the month. on that credit card, and their statement might be a single page with a single line item for a single charge in that table. Another customer might have 500 charges on that credit card for the month. And that statement, although it comes from the same template, will be very different. It might be 10 pages long and have page after page of tables. So we are able to actually find these variances, and we can account for them to make sure that everything is being tagged accurately. So it's not just a static layout on every page. There can be variables across these templates, and we're able to train the AI models to identify these variables and account for them accordingly. So the training of the AI model, just so everyone is aware, we do define the different elements. So if you've never tagged a PDF document before, PDF documents will contain primarily text, but there has to be a structure applied to the text on the page. For example, there are headings that are used for navigation purposes. Tables have specific layouts that need to be tagged in a certain way so that assistive technology can interact with them. There could be lists. The reading order is a very important aspect as well. If a page has 3 columns, a screen reader needs to be told to read down the left-hand column first, then the middle column, then the right-hand column. If it's not trained on how to do that, the screen reader could easily just read clear across the top line of all 3 columns, rendering the entire page as completely useless. So these are the types of training that we put into the models to teach it for all of these specific variables for the specific template. And then, of course, we have to test the model. So this is not just a one-time, we teach it what this document looks like and we just hope for the best. We, of course, test these models and continue to train them throughout. And so our goal is always to both pass the automated checkers as well as making sure that these documents are fully usable for the end user who's going to be interacting with them. So we do apply both manual checks as well, using screen readers to sort of replicate how a blind user might be interacting with that document. So these are very, very important aspects of PDF accessibility, not just auto tagging and hoping that it passes an automated checker. It really only matters if the end user that's receiving the document is able to interact with it, and that's what really matters most to us. And also, I alluded to this earlier, but there are different methods of deploying Equidox AI technology. So we do have an interface that we have built, which I will be demonstrating here in just a moment. So we've built sort of an interface that a customer would be able to run this technology themselves if they prefer. We can also embed this technology through APIs. So like I said before, we can make sure that this is fitting into your existing workflow and you're able to apply the tags and deliver an accessible document in a fully seamless transition where no human is required at all. And then we can also operate this as a managed service. So we can run the entire process and technology for you and deliver those documents to you, depending on the use case, depending on security requirements, anything that every customer may have some different requirements. And we're here to work with you and figure out the best method of delivering these documents in an accessible way. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is actually transition out of this slide deck, and we will get into the actual demonstration of Equidox AI. So if I just go to this other tab here I have in my browser, this is the interface that we have built just to kind of demonstrate the technology to make it easier to understand what's actually happening. So right now I have a completely blank slate. I have nothing really to work with, as we can see. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go to the Upload Documents tab. When I arrive at this tab here, I can then just open up the folders on my hard drive. And in this case, I'll just drag a zip file that contains some bank statements that we have scrubbed. These are just like sample bank statements. And we will upload that zip file containing the financial statements. So once these documents upload, I can then go to the Create Run Batch tab here on the left-hand side. I will then choose the model that I want to apply. In this case here, we've only got 3 models currently uploaded to my little interface here for demo purposes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the statement model. I will then choose the zip radio button here, and I will select that zip folder that I have just uploaded just a second ago. Once I've selected the zip file and I've selected my appropriate model, I just hit Run Batch. And this will kick off a process where Equidox is currently ingesting the documents. It is looking at them kind of page by page, one by one, and it is taking all of that model training that we have done ahead of time, and it is automatically tagging these PDFs. So we'll see these green lights start to kind of light up here as we work through the process. So you can see one of them is already complete, and we will see more of these green lights kind of lighting up in just a few seconds. Now, keep in mind that this is just a demo environment of this technology. Equidox AI can be scaled to meet much higher demands and throughput. Of course, certain organizations might require literally hundreds of thousands of documents every single day to be remediated. We can just dedicate additional resources to it in order to power it to meet those types of demands for speed. But while these documents are going through the process, I'm just going to open up one of them here just so that you can see what these documents look like. So if I open up like randomly statement number 4 here, what I can see is that this is a sort of a generic looking bank statement. We have images up here, we have text, we have headings, we have tables, but this document is completely untagged in its current form. If a screen reader was to interact with this document, it would tell them that this is a blank PDF. So they would not be able to interact with this. They would have no idea what their monthly transactions were. They wouldn't know what their balance due was. Obviously, that's a huge, huge problem because some people really need to make sure that they are being charged appropriately for all of their transactions for the month. And they, of course, need to know how much they need to pay for their credit card bill. So we need to make sure that these documents are being tagged and delivered in an accessible way. So with that said, while I was talking there, the whole process finished. I can see the status is now done. So all of those documents finished processing. I can look at the individual PDF files. So if I were to, let's say, just download one of them, I will download this and save it to my desktop. And if I were to open this up in Adobe Acrobat, I will see that this version of the document is now fully tagged. So if you're familiar with tag structures, you know how complicated it is to manually set up these types of tag trees in Adobe Acrobat if you're doing it manually. It's a very time-consuming process. It requires a lot of technical expertise. And even if you are the best Adobe Acrobat user in the world, it is still very, very time-consuming. So at the scale of things like statements, where there could be literally hundreds of thousands of them produced every single day by a single organization, it is completely unsustainable to expect human remediators to go through the process of tagging these elements manually. But now, if I look at this version of the PDF, I have the logo has been described. We've trained it to apply this company logo alt description to the logo whenever it sees this particular image. We have text identified. So the entire document is tagged, as we can see here. We have text identified, so the bank name and the customer name. We have our figure tag, which is just the image. We have our heading level 1. As we tab through, we can see we have an H2 for the account summary. The table, which is nested below it, has been properly tagged. So you can see all of the rows of the table are properly tagged. We jump down to another heading level 2 for the deposits and credits, another table that is properly tagged, another heading, another table. All of these different elements have been accurately accounted for because of the initial training that we have put in to this document template. So at the scale of a company that is mass producing these types of documents, we can now fully automate that process. So none of your staff has to spend countless hours of their week remediating PDFs. And this type of process can be applied to other templates. So it's not just for bank statements. It could be explanations of benefits. It could be bills like utility bills or medical bills or medical statements and reports and test results. There's an endless amount of use cases for Equidox AI. It really just comes down to the customer and the types of documents that they're producing. But we would certainly love to chat with you based on your specific use case and your specific template to see if Equidox AI would be a good fit for your organization. So, closing out of this document now, I can also download all of these documents in a batch as well. So if I go to my batches and jobs tab here, this is the batch that I just ran. So I would be able to extract all of these documents in a zip file as well. So I'm able to download them as a zip, just like I delivered it to Equidox. But keep in mind, you don't always have to run this process through this interface. We can run this process for you as a managed service, or the technology that's kind of going on behind the scenes can be seamlessly placed within your existing workflow so that we are not disrupting a long-standing process that you have for generating and delivering these PDF documents. Okay. Just as a quick summary, Equidox is a leader in PDF remediation. This is all that Equidox does. We are entirely focused on PDF remediation. So we can solve your PDF remediation challenges, whether it's a large or a small project. Many of you are here, and this may be your first introduction to Equidox. Keep in mind that that is only part of what we offer. So that Equidox AI solution is our newest technology. But we also have an Equidox software that is meant for more unique, one-of-a-kind ad hoc documents. So there are many organizations that are producing, marketing flyers or just documents that are meant for kind of one-off use. They might not be producing them in mass. So Equidox software is designed to dramatically speed up and make more efficient the process of going through and tagging those documents that have completely unique elements where we can't necessarily train artificial intelligence to fully automate that process. We have tools built into that Equidox technology that are powered by artificial intelligence to speed things up. But there are certain examples of documents where you do need some sort of human intervention to analyze the PDF for context and be able to properly remediate it. So if you're interested in those types of use cases, you can also feel free to reach out to us after the fact. We would love to talk to you about both or either or use case that you have in mind for your organization. And of course, we did just see the Equidox AI demonstration there, so you have a general idea of how that technology works. We will be sharing this slide deck out to everyone on the call after the fact. So there are some relevant articles here. If you are new to PDF accessibility or digital accessibility, if anything presented today was confusing, we will certainly give you some resources of some relevant articles. And we do have a really large library of information on our website as well. So feel free to interact with these articles and check out some of our past webinars if you're interested in seeing our other technology. But also, please feel free to reach out to us for a more personalized demonstration and discussion around your use cases. So with that said, I'm going to pass it back over to Pat. We just have a minute or so left to kind of wrap things up. But thank you, everyone, for attending today.
Thank you, Dan. Great job. Great presentation. I hope that all of the folks here on the call today saw the great value in the Equidox AI tool, and we'd love to hear from anybody who feels as though there might be a proper use case, not only for our AI solution, but as Dan said, our PDF ad hoc remediation software tool. And you could reach us at Equidox Sales at equidox.co. Of course, you can always reach out to us by phone. You see the number there, or if you would just like general information, feel free just to visit us at www.equidox.co. Thank you, everybody, and that concludes today's presentation.
I just want to add, there are a couple questions I did not get to. I apologize, but as Pat said, you can get in touch with us. We'll be happy to have a one-on-one conversation with you to answer some of your more in-depth questions. I think a lot of people may have some opportunities within the software that they're already using. A lot of current Equidox software users are here, as well as those who have all the templated documents that would be applicable to Equidox AI. So thanks everybody for coming. Thanks, Dan and Pat.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
For more information about how Equidox Software Company can help you with PDF accessibility, email us at equidoxsales@equidox.co or give us a call at 216-529-3030 or visit our website at www.equidox.co.